What's up, Colby Sharp, 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. I'm going to be telling you today about the books that my 5th graders are currently reading 1/3 of the way through the school year. I have no idea how we just magically have come upon 1/3 of the way through the school year. It's wild. But here we go. First up is A Tale Dark and Grim by Adam Gidwitz. I did first chapter Friday. I read the first chapter of this book to my 5th graders last Friday, and one of my readers raised his hand and wanted to read it. I knew he would want to read it, and I'm so thankful that he is enjoying it. It makes my heart so happy. I bet he reads the entire series at some point during the school year. Next up, the Warriors graphic novels. These are very, very popular. I have 2 kids, one at this table, and you'll see another one coming up at another table, who are all about these, will read every single one. They cannot get enough of Aaron Hunter's graphic novel adaptations. Play Like a Girl. It's a graphic memoir by Misty Wilson. Check this out if you haven't heard about it or seen it. It just recently came out. It's a story of Misty when she was a 7th grader and she decided to play tackle football with all the boys. It's a fascinating story. It's an amazing story. Highly recommend. 5 stars. This book is phenomenal. Recently, we had a kid start the Land of Story series. Isn't that exciting? When you see a series that's been popular in your class be picked up by a reader in a new class. So I'm hoping that this could be the spark that sends this book all around the classroom. Fingers crossed, hoping put a little dent in it. So we're excited to see where this series takes that reader. Next up, Bad Kitty Gets a Bath. This reader is also reading one of the Treehouse books, 117 Story Treehouse. You can see all the Treehouse books. This has been a series that's really come on the last few weeks in the class, which is very, very exciting to see. My kids are reading so many fun, amazing, exciting books. I've had anyone read Sharon Creech's Saving Winslow in a couple years. 3 or 4 years ago, this was one of the most, if not the most popular middle grade novel in my classroom. So I am so excited to see it making the rounds again, and I cannot wait to see if this book can catch with this group of readers. I'm hoping that this student will book talk it and then other kids will give it a try, because this is such a beautiful, beautiful book. And look, it's not like too long. It's just like the perfect middle grade length. Let's go. The Lost Girl by Anne Ursu. This reader is loving it. She only has, she's finishing this book today. And one of the things that I love about this book, I feel like it's just really hit this reader right in the heart, and it's like one of those books that she'll remember forever, and she's so into it. She has talked to me more on her own about this book than all of her reading life up until this point this year. She comes up to me almost every day to tell me what's happening, to tell me what happened the last night. She's so excited to see how it ends, and I just love seeing her be more comfortable in sharing her reading and excited to it, and she can't help it, but she needs to talk about the book to someone. That's such an awesome sign. Mistakes Were Made, Timmy Failure, another series that hasn't been really super popular yet this year, but I could see this also being one that really catches fire. That's interesting. I think that's the 3rd or the 4th time already in just the first 2 groups that I've mentioned, series that are starting to be read that haven't been read yet this year, and how I can kind of start to see the possibility of these embers turning into big flames and lots of kids reading it. It's such an interesting thing in a classroom. Some books are popular one year, and then they just get a couple kids will read it and get everyone to read it. And then there'll be years where they're not. And then they'll take off again. It's such an interesting thing. And just as a good reminder that I know we get excited about the new books, we get excited about the latest and greatest, but some of the best books written for kids are 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years old. And it's important that we book talk new books and book talk old favorites, authors, popular series that were popular in the past, just to give the kids a chance to find the book that needs to find them. Up next, we have Explore the Mystery Boxes. This is a really fun graphic novel collaboration between a bunch of different talented artists. I love these sort of things, kind of all around the theme of a mystery box. Very fun. Next up, we just went to the library and a kid checked out this Rover and Speck, The Planet Rocks. Check out this fun graphic novel. Isn't it so much fun? There's so many more graphic novels these days than even 5 or 6 years ago. It's amazing to see just that medium take off in a way that's being more accepted by teachers and librarians and parents, and just to see the kids just falling deeper and deeper in love through the comics that they just can't get enough of. Next up, The Hunger Games. Look how close today or tomorrow for this guy. And if you're probably familiar with this story, but they just ended the Hunger Games, the first, I guess it's the first one because this is the first book, but it just ended with a wild ending. He was so excited to tell me about it, and I'm so excited for him to continue this journey. He seems pretty intent on reading Catching Fire. Maybe take a little break between this one and the next one, but he's been working his tail off on that. All right, Hard Luck is, a lot of the Wimpy kids are starting to kind of like be read again as the new one just recently came out. And some kids, it's interesting because I'll often think that it's a reread, but for a lot of readers, like it's the first time they've read the Wimpy Kid books. And I think sometimes I forget that I just assume that everyone has read them, and you can't assume things. The New Cat Kid, it's so awesome. There's a part in this book that we've been talking a lot about in class where the kids are have a sign that says fail miserably, and all about like when you're a creator and you're making things, like you just have to put yourself out there, you have to try things, it's not always going to be successful, you're going to fail. And we've been struggling with that a little bit as writers in this class. So, using books and if Dave Pilkey can put it in his book, then maybe we should try to live that because, Dave's pretty successful as a creator. So if you haven't checked out the New Cat Kid Comic Club, it's amazing. I'm actually have a copy at home that I'm reading to my two youngest kids. We're reading a couple chapters a night, and I am loving it. It's so good. Here we have the graphic novel adaptation of Kwame Alexander's The Crossover. Such a unique graphic novel. It's just different than what the kids are used to, but it works perfectly for this story, and I love it. I thought another kid was reading, over there, is reading Booked. We'll get to that in a little bit. Rocks and Minerals. We are heavy into nonfiction writing, and a lot of kids are just pouring themselves over their research, many of them during our writing time, but a lot of them are often kind of sneaking in some research time during reading time in class. So it's fun to see this kid is all in on Rocks, all in, looking for every book he can possibly find. Can't get enough. It's really fun. The Road to After, one of my favorite middle grade books of 2022. This novel and verse will just rip your heart out and then slowly put it back together. A phenomenal book, an amazing book. It's a pretty heavy topic, and to see kids embrace this story and fall in love with the story and fall in love with these characters is just, it's a good reminder of why we do what we do. One for the Murphys. This girl was wanting to read a realistic fiction book, so I created a preview stack of about 8 or 9 awesome realistic fiction books, and this is the one that she picked, which makes me so happy because it's one of the best books written. A lot of people read Linda's Fish in a Tree, but One for the Murphys to me is her best book. I love it with all of my heart, and I love Fish in a Tree, but this one does it for me. I read it aloud a couple years ago. I feel like I should read it aloud again. It's so beautiful. And then this guy, he read The Fellowship of the Rings, took a little break, read a bunch of things, and now he's back into the series reading The Two Towers. Man, that kid can read. Whew. It's so impressive. These kids are just amazing. Look, I think that we talked about this reader before at the beginning of the year in these videos. She's read all of these Seeds of America books. She's on to the last one. Yay, Ashes, let's go. Warriors. I mentioned earlier that we have another kid reading all the Warriors books. This one was actually falling apart. He took it to the library and asked our librarian if she would mend it back together. And he was so excited that today when we visited the library, she returned it to him. So he's so excited to finish that. The War That Saved My Life. So many people in our building, students and educators, love this book. So you always will see kids wanting to read it because there's just someone book talking it or someone that wants them to read it or check it out or ask if they've read it. So this book has kind of like this buzz that kind of continues year after year because it is such a well-loved book by our community. Refugee, this kid read Two Towers, loved it. Now he's on to Refugee. I'm sure he's going to love this more than I wouldn't be surprised if he reads some of Alan's other books, including his latest one, 2 Degrees, at some point this year. Me, He, Ever After by Tay Keller, a brand new fantasy series. Wonderful book. I read this, loved it. This girl dreams of being a princess. It's like what she wants. One day, her and 2 kids from school are in the librarian's office. They open the refrigerator and go into a magical world of princesses, and they get to try out to be a princess. Not all it's cracked up to be. Awesome book. I think kids are going to love this series. And then Booked, Kwame Alexander's the adaptation to Kwame Alexander's amazing novel and verse. This graphic novel is phenomenal. Dawood just does an amazing job of creating graphic novels. He's the illustrator on that. So those are the books that my kids are reading. I hope you found some awesome books to add to your to-read list and to maybe purchase for your classroom or library. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Colby Sharp. I hope you have an awesome-tastic day.